Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the deep end of reality itself. We're going to explore some absolutely wild ideas about the universe, our own consciousness, and the choices we make every single day. So let's get right into it with a question that goes back to the very beginning.
Just take a second and think about this. What if the Big Bang wasn't just the birth of our single universe? What if it was the explosive start of every possible universe, every single timeline you can imagine, all created in that same instant?
That one question right there is going to be our guide. So, first up, what is reality? We're going on a journey into the origins of everything. We're going to ask if our consciousness can somehow navigate between these different timelines and whether the things we do here could send ripples across realities we'll never even see.
Now, to get there, we have to start small. I mean, really small. That brings us to our next section, two quantum worlds. Because, there's this fundamental conflict in physics. Down at the tiniest subatomic levels, the universe just doesn't play by the rules we're used to. This is the bizarre, fascinating world of quantum mechanics.
So what is it? Well, you can think of quantum mechanics as the official rulebook for all the tiny particles that make up, well, everything. And the rules in that book are so strange, so counterintuitive, that they've basically split scientists into two big camps about what it all means for reality itself.
And these two camps see reality in completely different ways. On one side, you've got the classic Copenhagen interpretation. This says that reality is kind of blurry, just a fog of possibilities until we look at it. Our act of observing forces the universe to pick one path. But then you have the many worlds interpretation, and it says, nope, the universe never picks. It does everything. It just branches, and every single possibility plays out in its own separate, equally real universe.
Let that sink in for a minute. Every single choice you make, from what you had for breakfast this morning to a huge, life-changing decision, every one of them could be creating whole new universes, timelines that splinter off from ours.
Okay, so if that's even possibly true, what does that mean for us, for our experience? This is where we get to our third section, consciousness, the traveler. We're going to explore this idea of navigating a multiverse that's right here, inside us. And this is where the science gets really, really interesting.
This leads to probably one of the most mind-bending thought experiments ever, quantum immortality. Think about it. If there's a version of you in every possible timeline, then from your own subjective point of view, couldn't you only ever experience the timeline where you keep on living?
Okay, let's break that down. Imagine you're in a situation with a 50-50 chance of survival. According to many worlds, the universe splits in two. In one branch, you die. In the other, you live. But your consciousness, your awareness, can only continue in the branch where you're, still conscious. So from your perspective, you would always, without fail, find yourself in the reality where you survived.
It's a really powerful way to think about it, right? Your consciousness isn't just stuck on one track. It's more like a traveler, navigating this enormous, branching tree of reality. And it's always, always following the path where it continues to exist.
All right, that is some pretty wild speculation. So let's ground ourselves for a second in something that we know is real. This brings us to section 4, the entangled universe. And the big question here is, are we all fundamentally connected? We're going to start with a phenomenon that's been proven, something Einstein himself called spooky action at a distance.
And that spooky action is quantum entanglement. It is a proven fact of our universe. You can link two particles together so that they're basically a single system. If you measure one of them, you instantly know the state of the other one. Even if it's on the other side of the galaxy, they are just connected, instantly.
And here's the most important part. This is not just a theory. This isn't a what if. Experiments based on something called Bell's theorem have confirmed it time and time again. This spooky connection is a real, fundamental part of how reality is built.
So of course, that leads to a huge question. If tiny little particles can be so deeply connected across incredible distances of space, is it possible that entire timelines could be entangled too? Could the choices made in one branch of reality somehow subtly influence what happens in another one?
What's so cool is that this cutting-edge scientific idea, it sounds a lot like some of the oldest ideas in human philosophy. Think about karma, right? The idea that our actions create these ripples we can't always see. Or the idea of eternal recurrence, that big patterns might repeat themselves across the cosmos. They all seem to be pointing at this deep-seated feeling of cosmic connectivity.
Okay, so for our final section, let's bring all this grand cosmic stuff right back down to us. Let's talk about your ripple effect and how your choices might actually be shaping the cosmos. What does all this mean for you, for me, right here and now? Well, it might mean our choices matter more than we could ever imagine.
If you look at the universe this way, you're not just some passive observer just along for the ride. Nope. Every single decision you make, no matter how small it seems, is an act of creation. You are choosing a path. You are sending a wave of consequence down one of those infinite possible timelines.
That makes all of us active participants in reality. We're not just living in the universe. We are, in a very real sense, helping to build it, one choice at a time. Each and every one of us is weaving our own little thread into this massive cosmic tapestry. So, I want to leave you with a little challenge. Just think about one choice you made today. It can be something tiny. Now, just for a second, imagine the other reality, the one where you chose differently. What kind of ripples could that one little choice have created, not just for you, but for the universe itself?
Because, in the end, whether these incredible theories are ever proven true or not, they give us a new way to see ourselves. They suggest that maybe we really are all deeply connected, that we're part of something so much grander than we can see, in a universe where consciousness, choice, and reality are just endlessly and beautifully intertwined.